Open poem to Lawrence Ferlinghetti from the Urban Forester. Despite our best efforts, Arbor Day is the least embraced of San Francisco's festivities. People here just don't find it sexy enough. Celebrated in America 100 years before the first Earth Day and the Summer of Love, what if you celebrated the human being every year and no hipsters showed up? They're burning the man or at pre- and post-compression parties, I guess. We revived Arbor Day here in 2005. Signature Tree kicks it off in honor of local and international greats. Cork Oak for Rosa Parks on Van Ness, Coast Live Oak for Nelson Mandela in the Western Addition, and for Espanola Jackson of Hunters Point on Evans. Charlie Starbuck got a tree on Geary. Still volunteers planting trees for Friends of the Urban Forest every Saturday since 1981, using public transit and arriving early each week. Trees in the ground before most of the city wakes. Not all those honored are buried first. Who is the most important San Franciscan still living in the mind of the urban forester, in the mind of America, in the Coney Island of the mind, a far Rockaway of the heart? Who began selling paperbacks in a small storefront in Columbus and soon put this coastal town on the international map, put the best coast on the left coast, who overtook the discovery of gold by panning for free speech, protecting freedom of expression in the whole, the most valuable element in free society? What are the qualifications to be the urban forester in the city of St. Francis? Is it plant biology or environmental policy? Or is it an undergrad degree in English with a passion for literature? How do you speak San Francisco to San Franciscans? Not with the Latin names for trees, not always with facts and figures, not when most want more sun, less shade, and more views. The urban forester needs to speak San Francisco. Starting out, I too made a move from NYC's Lower Inside. The pocket bookshop on Columbus, the right person at the right time at the right place in USA, bought prosody and a need to publish the new vision. The Summer of Love got started way before 67, started the moment the last great war flashed out and when Snyder read Berry Feast at the Six Gallery. Other things happened there too. I greet you at the beginning of a great career. We've crossed paths a few times. First was a 4-way stop in North Beach. I yielded to your well-worn pickup truck, my mouth agape. A few years later, entered the bookshop Friday morning after Thanksgiving, stepped through the doorway, head bowed, while an older gentleman glided out. From the magazines at the front window, I did a double take, just shared the threshold of history with the founder and publisher himself. Considered myself blessed and anointed, resisted the urge to follow you among your fellow gray panthers and cougars, went upstairs instead to the poetry room, to my Gary Snyder section. Poetry as Insurgent Art was our next shared space, a rare historic reading in the bookshop, like Ginsberg and Cassidy in the 50s. Brought my disabled mother-in-law, couldn't even get inside before she asked staff for a bathroom. But silver-haired and Walker opens hearts and gets special treatment. I parked the car in Chinatown. Stopped my grumbling when I found her in the front row with an extra seat for me. Major cameras in the balcony. This could be his last public reading in city lights. I told her she may not live to see it, but someday we'll both be captured together in photo or film. A few years later, the authoritative documentary is released, directed by Christopher Felver, A Rebirth of Wonder. And there we are, front row, in the Ferlinghetti trailer. Sally still alive then, to watch it. After the reading, looking like a former lover, Sally cut the line, Walker at the prow. She wouldn't stop shaking your hand. Your blue eyes and blue shirt. Your eyes are so blue, she keeps repeating. Double pumping your hand, her blue scarf, your shining diamond sutra. She asks you to do readings more often. Signed a copy for her son-in-law, while I snapped pics across the room, future city arborist, urban forester of San Francisco. We demonize tech. We blame them for everything. The cost of living. St. Francis would not approve of this witch hunt. Don't they know that the Bay Area is the center of the free-thinking world? Better to blame the Miwok, Lewis and Clark, the Gold Rush 49ers, Jack London and Mark Twain, Emperor Norton, the Golden Gate and Bay Bridges, the Pocket Bookshop, the Beatniks and Herb Caen, the great San Francisco poetry and jazz renaissance, coffee, the gathering of the tribes, the summer of love and music scene, the hippies that followed. Land conservation, the preservation of vast amounts of open space to the north, east, and south. Harvey Milk and the Castro, Dykes on Bikes, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Berkeley, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, and Jerry Rice, the Redwoods, early custom mountain bikes circumambulating Mount Tam in the 1970s. Alcatraz, Bolinas, Zen, nudists. Dave Eggers, yoga, Rice-A-Roni, the chime of the cable cars, the parrots of Telegraph Hill, which are actually kind of loud and now live behind me in the Bayview. You can eliminate all tech, but San Francisco will retain the highest rents in the land. Still imperfect, still the last great hope at the final shore at the end of the new world. Arbor Day. Not all those honored are buried first. Who is the most important San Franciscan still living in the mind of the urban forester, in the mind of America? 10 years ago, I woke in tears from a nightmare. Lawrence Ferlinghetti was dead. I was walking down mid-market, tears streaming down my face. The most important living San Franciscan, hero of freedom of speech, owner, founder, publisher, writer, painter, icon. The most important building in the city in America, Mecca for all English majors and other great thinkers. Loss, washing over me in sobs. The right person at the right time at the right place in USA. The city not the same city without him. Fell in love with trees my final semester while reading Walden line by line. Like all former high school jocks, I also adored Kerouac. Showed me how to reinvent myself. An uncle also recommended Snyder, Ferlinghetti, Whalen, Ginsberg, and a postcard. I took Snyder's real work to heart. I stuffed the chipper with my English degree. I climb myself up through the ranks, feel the weight of the wood, think global, act local, dragged brush, bundled in tarps through living rooms in Pacific Heights, still desire to write the next great American novel. Eventually, education coordinator, Friends of the Urban Forest, urban forestry inspector, city and county, caring civilized civil servant, now permanent urban forester of still the most forward-thinking city in America, working with others to manage all the trees and plants in our sidewalks. What are the qualifications to be the urban forester of San Francisco? The urban forester needs to speak San Francisco, undergrad degree in English, a passion for literature, the written word, the written world. San Franciscans smoke more trees than they plant, and some would prefer to park on their sidewalk than allow a tree to take that space. The best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. We won't all live forever. You can't live forever. We keep honoring worthy folks, but can't we honor you while still among us? Who survived Normandy and San Francisco? Almost 98, but Rose Pack edged you out this year in Chinatown. Can we go ahead and make a date of it for 2018? Or should we howl together at 100 in 2019? Even if we never get a chance to plant that mythic tree, in my mind, together. In joyful gratitude, Mr. Ferlinghetti, or is it Ferlinghetti? I promise to organize an annual pilgrimage, what we now call an annual literary walkabout. Bloomsday-like celebration on March 24th, the day of your birth, from the Potrero Hill House to North Beach, and so many points between. Invite others to read your poetry, or read their own about you in San Francisco. Dada will like a day like this, and the Giants shall recite your baseball canto during the 7th inning stretch. You and I both know why there are no street trees in front of the bookshop on Columbus. I nearly marked out some proposed planting locations anyway last November during the Dada conference on your sidewalk, just to create a stir. Already regret not acting on this Dada impulse. I studied Dada with Professor Coonsley in Iowa City, home of the International Dada Archive, in Iowa of all places. In December, I read in the New York Times, the local elementary school paper, we both believe our saddest memory is the 2016 presidential election. Take heart. In the end, it is a forester who thwarts the big bad wolf. Thank you, sir, for all that you have given us. San Francisco's first poet laureate, in that role a fellow civil servant. The urban forester is grateful that a local street bears your name. I'm getting a namesake of my own. Discovered a beach in the shipyard by kayak in 2003, now called Buck's Beach. It even says so in the EIR. But it's time now to receive the real token of our affection, a tree to the city. Please, can my people talk to your people? No, let me speak San Francisco and place this in the hands of poesy. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. I will meet you one day in my dreams and every year on March 24th, on Ferlinghetti Day. Happy Ferlinghetti Day, Lawrence Ferlinghetti.